Okay, welcome to Don't Mind Me, I'm Different, the podcast where we smack down the shadow surrounding ADHD and depression in the workplace. I'm Ron, your ADHD guy, and I'm here to be your guide, your voice, and your reminder that you're not alone. I got your back. Each episode will unpack the real struggles, share powerful tools, and build strategies to help you stop seeing it as a problem, but a true force to be reckoned with. Together, we're making it cool to be different. Hey there, my beautifully different brains. Welcome back to Don't Mind Me, I'm Different. I'm Ron Souers, your ADHD guy. Your fellow traveler through the fog of overthinking, identity, and lost dreams. Today's episode, as always, hits a little different because we're pulling back the curtain on a conversation that's rarely had, but deeply needed. ADHD in the Asian American community. And since it's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, there's no better time to not just celebrate their contributions, but to acknowledge the hidden emotional warfare, the mental health stigma, and the beautiful complexity of being Asian in America. Some real art of war stuff. Honoring a legacy. So let's start with the celebration. As always, Asian Americans have been part of the American story for centuries. From the Chinese laborers who built the Transcontinental Railroad in the 1800s, to Japanese American families who faced internment during World War II, to today's trailblazers in medicine, arts, technology, education, activism, and food. This community has shaped the cultural backbone of America. I mean, where would we be without sushi, right? We owe a significant amount of gratitude to pioneers like Yuri Kochiyama, a Japanese American civil rights activist who stood beside Malcolm X, Larry Italong, a Filipino labor organizer who co-led the Delano grape strike, Grace Lee Boggs, a Chinese American philosopher who has spent much of her life advocating for civil rights and labor rights, to the point where she has challenged how people think about their own activism, and so many others. But with that legacy often comes pressure. Pressure to be perfect, pressure to succeed, pressure to honor the family. And here's where the ADHD complicates the story. Let's talk about the model minority myth. The idea that Asian Americans are inherently more successful, studious, or emotionally restrained. Trust me, I felt and believed that way for so long. On the surface, it might sound flattering, but it's more of a potent poison. It flattens the diversity of experience, erases the humanity, and discourages seeking help. Because if you're supposed to be the example, what happens when your mind feels scattered, unfocused, and overwhelmed? What happens when you don't know what to do? If you grew up hearing, don't bring shame to the family, or just try harder, it can make you internalize your ADHD symptoms as laziness or failure. and it's not. It's simply your brain just trying to make sense of a senseless situation. Researchers show that Asian Americans are 3 times less likely than white Americans to seek mental health services, often due to stigma, cultural expectations, and fear of being seen as weak or broken, according to a 2022 report by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service. And for those with ADHD, the masking, the shame, and the isolation can be overwhelmingly intense. Being Asian History Month,
Oh yeah.
do you feel like that has been like an additional cultural barrier?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like people make. I mean, I love making jokes about being like, oh, I'm Asian, so like I'm good at math, or like
Yeah.
I like busting my friends' balls, being like, oh, are you saying that to me because I'm Asian?
Yeah.
Just like to scare them. But I've definitely had some struggles with like the model minority myth, being like, oh, like I have to be like very type A, I have to like get
Yeah.
A's in school, I have to be like on top of everything, like oh I need to be good at piano, violin, math, like fulfill
Yeah,
a
you have to
career
be
in
good at
STEM.
everything.
But at least with having ADHD and like confronting like that Asian model minority myth, I feel like having ADHD has like really pushed me to like make peace with that, with just being a little bit different productivity wise in
Yeah.
the way that I work and like what's important to me, and like working with what's engaging rather than something that's like prescribed to me.
Yeah, so you feel like it's like an identity thing, like
Yeah, for sure.
like so, because from the stereotypes that I've gotten, it's
Mhm.
like I've always felt like, Asian people were smarter and
Oh yeah.
they were like, they were like born that way.
Yeah, like a lot more disciplined, or like we can't be like
So that feels like
emotional.
there's like a weight to like live up to that standard.
Oh, I definitely agree. I grew up first gen too, so I mean, it was a different experience, at least
Yeah.
from other people that I've talked to, being like getting a lot more of that exposure like head on, I guess, from
Yeah.
I guess like my background, especially like going home to the Philippines and having parents that are very Filipino and like
Hmm.
holding on to that. So I mean, it definitely pushed me to come to terms with like I guess like my quote unquote diagnosis, or like the way that I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely tough for a bit, I will
Can
say,
imagine.
because like it was just a lot of unlearning of like what's like I guess acceptable to me and to other people, and like learning to like take ownership
Yeah.
of like what I actually like, what works for me, rather than what I'm being told is like the correct or only way to do things, even just career wise.
Yeah, it's like being okay
Yeah.
with who you are and
Mhm.
where you're at, and not trying to fit like a certain type of mold.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that like within like your parents' culture, like that has like that they've been supportive?
I mean, they've definitely been supportive in the ways that they've like thought they would be. I
Mhm.
mean, they had good intentions, but I think that,
Yeah.
at least in my opinion, with my own experience with like ADHD and like exploring my own interests, even just like career wise, that's been more of an independent thing. I mean, like they're encouraging, and but like they definitely
Yeah.
like fulfill those like funny stereotypes of being like, oh, you have to be a nurse, you have to be a doctor.
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy.
I mean, like it's kind of crazy because like I am actually pursuing like nursing school now, but I feel like
It's on your
been-
terms?
Yeah, it's on my terms, and I feel like learning to do things on my terms has been like a big process of like my identity as an Asian person and how that intersects with me being neurodivergent too.
My personal experience is in Eastern Asian culture.
Yeah.
In terms of like depression, anxiety, I think there is a lot of stigma to like just even talking about it, or like having someone be diagnosed with any of it. ADHD, There probably is as well, because I'm trying to think of if I know anyone who had ADHD, like just outright said they had ADHD growing up, and I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which statistically I know is probably not true, so I think there is some stigma to that.
I think more so in Asia, it's a developing organization, and that development is important, especially in a more, I would say, like Asian education system. Typically, people perceive it to be a little bit more rigid in some ways. And to have that flexibility in terms of like education and like growing up makes them like develop into more confident adults in themselves as well. And I think that's why it's important.
Then came the pandemic. COVID-19 didn't just disrupt our lives. It triggered a surge in anti-Asian hate and made mental health struggles even harder to talk about. The Asian American Psychological Association reported a rise in anxiety, PTSD, and depression symptoms within the community, often unspoken and untreated. Imagine being neurodivergent and fearing you'll be targeted on the street, or trying to explain your mental health needs when your culture tells you to keep your head down and be strong. That's double the stigma. That's incredibly real. ADHD in the Asian community often shows up as high functioning burnout masked as excellence, internalized guilt for not meeting expectations, emotional suppression mistaken as discipline, task paralysis misunderstood as laziness, and the list goes on. Let's be honest. Even in professional spaces, cultural silence around mental health can leave people feeling deeply isolated. Imagine being stranded on an island and you could call for help, but that would only somehow make things worse. But here's the truth. You're not broken. You're not weak. And your struggle is not invisible. Not anymore. So how do we begin to heal? First off, we name it. ADHD exists in every culture. I don't care where. If you're not, it no longer surprises me where I continue to find it. It's simply a neurological difference. We seek culturally competent care. Shout out to all the therapists and coaches who get it. We talk to each other because silence is a killer, but storytelling sets us free. Let's start normalizing statements like mental health is just as important as physical health, maybe more so. I need help, and asking for it is my real strength. I'm allowed to be both proud of my culture and honest about what I struggle with. I hope that these statements become the norm. To my Asian brothers, sisters, and siblings listening, you are seen, you are valued, and your brain, even with ADHD, was never a burden. It is so beautiful, and it dances to a different rhythm in a world that's just learning how to dance to it. Whether you're the first in your family to talk about mental health, or you're still trying to put words to how you feel, remember, you're not alone. You never were. We just weren't able to talk. We weren't able to find each other. Now we have the connections. Now we have the bridges. And to all my listeners, this is what the podcast is about. Right here. Sharing the stories we were told never to talk about. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being beautifully different. And if you want to talk more about ADHD culture or just a safe place to be heard, I'm offering free coaching calls to your ADHD guide at youradhdguide.com. Come as you are. I prefer that. Until next time, I'm Ron, your ADHD guy, reminding you, you are worthy exactly as you are, with kindness, and may the source be with you. Thank you for listening.
I think what's important is that, like, people with ADHD are still people at the end of the day, and you need to treat them with that, like, self-respect that like, everyone deserves, right? So I find it particularly important that, like, we need to, like, bring awareness to ADHD and their presence in, like, classrooms and beyond as well.
That's huge. Like, I love that, and we can't have enough awareness. So it's just about understanding, like, there doesn't have to be a lot done. It's just more about, like, okay, we get you.
Yeah, I think what's most important is, like, empathy, right? You don't know what, like, sometimes you see people on the street and you also don't know what, like, they're going through. What conditions they might have that, like, make maybe, like, life a little bit more challenging in some ways. But to be able to, like, empathize with them and, like, understand what, like, people are, like, going through, I think that's something that's very important, like, especially in this day and age.